Hey, welcome back to the new episode on the how to win any argument when you do not require to raise your voice, lose your cool, or come to the blue. In this session, we are discussing further that how to gain absolute and total self-control. Previously, we were discussing about the seven ways a still center keep you from getting in your own way. As Tao Te Ching said, knowing others is wisdom, knowing the self is enlightenment. The first way we have discussed that you get in your way when you are acting under the influence, means you are influenced from somewhere. Way number two, you get in your own way when you see things the way you want them to be. Way number three, you get in your own way when you color the world with your expectations. So now, the way number four, let's begin with it and discuss it in detail. How you can come to the level of self-control or total control when you are in argument. Gain absolute and total self-control. The way number four is you get in your own way when you conclude facts from your assumptions. As Bravery Hair Perfume shops sign read, compare our prices to duty-free shop price. Means here's something. What is your assumption? And based on that your assumption, you can make a self-control. Understand these special character or thoughts we are mentioning here. So here we are discussing about the Bravery Hills, a perfume shop. They have one signboard in front of their gate that is compare our prices to duty-free shop prices. After looking around the store, I told the clerk that even though they thought their prices were less than the duty-free, they were mistaken. Why did it say they were less? Our sign only say compare prices. She reported. They do not say that the prices are less than the duty-free product, but they only say you compare the price. So here is the quiz time for you. What is the quiz you have to answer now? Four paperback volumes of Sherlock Holmes mysteries are standing on a shelf in sequential order. Each volume is 2 inches. Means each volumes and each book size is 2 inch thick. A bookworm in a straight line eat his way from page 1 of volume 1 to the last page of volume 4. You can understand it so that you can answer this quiz effectively. What it says. There are a volume of four paperback volumes of Sherlock Holmes mysteries means the storybook are standing on a shelf in sequential order. Each volume is 2 inches thick, and a bookworm in a straight line eat his way from page 1 of volume 1 to the last page of volume 4. How many inches of Sherlock Holmes mysteries did the bookworms eat? You have to answer it in a minute. Please start answering it. You may have several of answers based on your assumption. So here is your favorite bookshop. Or workshop question of mine. Let's see how you do. It is another question for you. Joe is a 30-year-old. He is very shy and withdrawn, with little real interest in little interest in people or the world of reality. I mean, and tidy soul, he has a need for order and structure, and has a passion for detail. Is it more likely that Joe is a salesman or a librarian? You have to answer that. It is based on your assumption. So, how would be the answer? I will share with you later. Let's begin. The two-thirds of the executive who were asked about Joe praised or pegged him as a librarian, but there are 75 times as many salespeople in the United States as there are librarians. Statistically, the greater chance is that Joe is a salesman just because something seems provable doesn't make it so. What is it? It is the assumption factor. So, way number four is telling us about the assumption. We make our way, we get into our own way when we are in the assumption or we answer the thing or we conclude facts from our assumptions. Maybe you made a fatal assumption about Joe. If so, you are in good company. Look at the fatal assumptions Walmart made. Walmart built US style parking lots for its shopping center in Mexico, but most citizens they don't own cars. City bus stop were behind the seemingly endless lots, making it a tough hill for the shoppers to get their purchases home. In Latin America, Sam's Club Walmart's discount food operations fizzled and floppered. Shoppers who lived in the cramped apartment didn't buy and or have room for its huge multi-pack items. In Brazil, Walmart what did? They designed stores with the US size SIs that couldn't accommodate the crush of shoppers. Who did the bulk of their shopping once a month on payday? And look at the fatal assumption you made about Walmart. You assume that there will be a discount for large purchases and make it Walmart. Value is value sizes. At a Walmart in Massa, Arizona, a heavy reporter discovered that the 64-ounce Heinz ketchup was 25% more per ounce than the smaller bottle. The 16-ounce Minute Maid frozen orange juice was 51% more per ounce than the smaller size. The family size container of whole sheep was or whole wheat was more per ounce than the tub size. It's half. At a Chicago Walmart, two single container of the Pringles were cheaper than the twin pack Pringles. None of the terms priced by the reporter were on sale or promotion. Note, you are not ready to read past this line until you have taken the quiz question on page 18. The answer to the bookworm quiz is 4 inches. How? How can that be? Page 1 of volume I when started on a shelf is on the far right of volume 1, but the Answer of the bookworm quiz is 4 inches. How is that possible? Or you may have this question, how's that be? Page 1 of volume 1, when standing on a shelf, is on the far right of volume 1. The last page of volume 4, when standing on a shelf, is on the far left of volume 4. The bookmark or bookworm only ate through volumes 2 and 3. If you were wrong, it's because you made a false assumption. But don't feel bad. Fewer than 10% of workshop students correctly answered the bookworm quiz. This is the true even when the shop is for executive and managers. So here is the heads up for you. You conclude fact from your assumptions. You quickly accept the intuitive as conclusive, the apparent as real. You make assumption about others, about facts, about circumstances. Your reality, what you believe, is largely based on your assumptions. A still center empowers you to consider whether there is a sound basis for your assumptions. So let's start with the way number 5. Day number 5 is telling us that you get in your own way when you are convinced that you know what you know. So here is the quiz for you. Okay, all you foodies, here is a chance to show your stuff. Texas barbecues special are 5 times more common in the Atlanta than in Dallas. True or false? You are more likely to find corned beef lunch specials in Dallas than in New York. True or false? Deep dish pizza specials are 7 times more common in Miami restaurant than in Chicago. True or false? Stand by the answer as soon as possible. The late Roberto Cusastro, CEO of the Coca-Cola Company, reported his shareholder after I spoke to a group of students at my alma mater. Once, one of them asked me a simple question: which area of the world offered the Coca-Cola Company its greatest growth potential? Without hesitation, I replied Southern California. They all laughed, thinking I was trying to be funny, so the drive home the point. I shared with them one very interesting fact. The per capita consumption of bottles and cans of Coca-Cola is actually lower in Southern California than it is in Hungary. The student went silent. Casinos take advantage of you being convinced you know what you know, with ads touting big slot matching payoff, highest payback, 98% returns. What isn't disclosed that often is that only one of or two machines in a casino or casino with as many as 1500 are that liberal. Foster's, a major Australian brewery, was convinced that it knew when it decided to take on China's beer market in 1993, and why not? There were 1.2 million Chinese, and beer consumption in China in the 10% or preceding years had increased tenfold. The Foster folk figured that if you sold beer to only 2% of the Chinese, they do have a new market as big as its Australian market. 5 years and 70 million US dollar in losses later, Foster pulled out of China. So, what went wrong? Because Foster knew it underestimated the local competition in a country where it was prestigious for towns big and small to have their own brand of beer. Foster don't didn't take into full account the degree to which local government worked to support hometown breweries. So while you are preparing some business or expansion some areas, what you have to do? You have to check out that. Don't work on that what you know, that what you know. The locality accordingly, but you are in an argument. You need to check that. What you know, what you know. You should not be convinced that. Know what you know. And the Foster didn't take into full account the degree of which local government worked to support hometowns wherever is, nor did Foster consider that on an everyday basis the Chinese wouldn't pay a premium for a foreign beer. Moriev is a con artist. He is in the business of selling distributorship. Here is how he dupes his customers who know that they know. Mori will sell you an exclusive territory to sell wall-mounted garage storage racks. Your territory will have 5 lakh homes with a garage. The customer install the storage unit will sell the 195 US dollar. Your cost is only $80. Morris point out two things that are true. There is nothing else quite like these racks on the market, and everyone can use more storage space. Morris tells you that it is reasonable to expect that 3% of the homeowners will want to buy a storage unit. There is 100 seems as easy as finishing in a trot bout. If you sell 15,000 units, 3% of 5 lakh, and realize a profit of 115 each dollar, you will make hold tied to your head and 70 lakh $25,000. Even if you spend only 2 lakh 25,000 dollars for advertising rates a profit of 1.5 million. Now, that is something to write home about. Maury's 3% seems pretty reasonable. His math is faultless, but Maury's entire scenario is based upon the dubious premise that 3% of the homeowner will be your customer and a premise readily accepted by Morris customer who know what they know. Over the years, I have seen the other clients lose money on short things because all the boutique project needed to break even was just three customers and are of in a restaurant project only 20 dinners a meal. What you know is a precursor for how you will react and respond to others and their ideas. And last, not least, I forget according to Forbes, the answer to the three quiz question on page 20 are true. So here is the heads up statement for you. You give undue credence to what you do know, and you figure that what you don't know isn't that important. Much of what you know to be true is questionable, incomplete, or downright false. Yet, the reality in your head is as important, as real to you, as the fact on the ground. A still center empowers you to consider whether you really know what you know. Way number six, to get into your own way when you are influenced by the head turning tidings. In my laws, don't refer to the things they bought on vacation. A cup of saucer, a carving, a wall hanging, and a souvenir of mementos. Instead, they refer to these objectives as memories. I think friend and love's expansions makes a lot of sense. A handcrafted brass letter opener prompt my memories of a afternoon walking the cobblestone street of Budapest. That shady spot in my yard brings back memories of the great time my kids had with Cheesy. Our Western territory who attain the status of a family member violates bring back lump in throat memories of my mother's birthdays. Many times your feelings about an idea are because of what or when you associate with it. The tie-in doesn't need to be a rational, consequential, or relevant. As example, a supplier takes you to a great concert and subconsciously you let your positive feelings about the concert tie into how you feel about the supplier. Here are some head-turning tie-in examples involving famous people and well-known situations. Did any of them influence how you feel about a place, person, or product? Credibility, head turner or head turners. Cal Ripken Jr. hold the major league record for the most consecutive baseball games played, 2,632. He was also featured in an ad for Merchant Company's hypertension drug Prevalin. Cal Perdick Jr. and Kremlin both are on the job every day in small print. The ad says Cal Ripken Jr. is not hypertensive and is not taking Prenivil. It is spokesperson is called Ripkins Jr. The product takes on an aura of durability and reliability. Both genius, Tiger Wood plugs American Express. It's natural for people to see an affinity between the values and Tiger represents and the values that American Express represents. We are both very focused on earned success, discipline, hard work, and achievement, and integrity, boasted the president of American Express. Michael Jordan had pitched Nike shoes and Apple's Wilson sporting goods, hands and rears and WorldCom telephone services, Oakley sunglasses, Revic batteries, and Wheaties service. Get Road and Coca-Cola. Maybe Jordan is right that wheaties are good for me, but how credible is nutrition advice from a guy who also said I should be drinking Coke? That high-end response of marketing gurus. Who else is cooler than Michael Jordan's? Nobody today better embodies that American spirit. Nostalgia had Turner is here. A poll revealed that most San Franciscans have never tried rice rolling, nor did San Franciscan invent the rice pasta combination dish in a box. So, why a rice rolly pitches as a San Francisco street? San Francisco is one of the most popular travel destinations in the country. Its fine restaurants are legendary. Rice roti trade on the strong positive feelings we have about the city, by the way. The era's winning 2 decades after World War II is often viewed as a golden age. Communities were familiar, secure, and comfortable. We had stable jobs and relationships. In old fashioned America, when folks weren't in a hurry, play on the comfort of days gone by. Talusa, Oklahoma advertising itself as America the way you remember it. Moxie, about half of those who have tried it report that it tastes like cough syrup. But then Moxie is the kind of soft drink you either love or split out. Since 1884, Moxie's fanatical faithful have found the bitter root extract drink the elixir of life, while giants like Coke and Pepsi are battling for Coca market share. Moxie and other obscure soft drinks are thriving in the local markets across the country. When I talk about the across the country, that is America. These regions are cult brand with the down home names like Big Red, Sundrop, and Kickapoo. Joy Juice, developed in mostly rural areas. Customers identify with cult brands because of their ability to evoke nostalgia and as a sense of regional pride. So, as is this taking advantage of what restaurant special bearing the form known as on average period 15% higher than non-known specials, reports polls. Being cool or prestigious had 100. Steak isn't good for you, but it is still really good. In business, it remains the dinner of champions because a street dinner is more than ever and special event would serve fortune. The 170-year-old organic brand Consortier has launched a line of men's and women's sportswear, and ad campaign featured pink boots and red silk dress and diamonds earring, spelling the logo CV. Land Rover had chassis, just few can afford the pricey four-wheel drive vehicle. The solution Land Rover shoes footwear with the Land Rover logo accordingly to the shoes license or laces carried the same image of adventure goods and supremacy that the vehicles carry. That's why Nike is a true Ultraflight has an outer shell modeled after the engine deck of the Ferrari model. And why Nike's Air Chadon 80 comes with this whole air flaps, reminiscent of the Lamborghini's air intakes. Don't hold your breath. I don't think you will be seeing a footwear that looks like a Ford Focus.